I love how RBC characterizes what you do, not just collecting and compounding trash, but collecting and compounding cash these days. Talk to us about your forecast for the future, what pricing will be like for the second half, and also input costs.
Right. Well, pricing looks pretty good right now, particularly at the disposal sites, our landfills and our transfer stations. Recycling is maybe the one exception there. Recycle prices are down 33%. Some of that is just that China has gone away as our biggest customer. They were buying 30% of what we put out of our recycle plants 2 years ago. Now they're buying 2. But overall, the economy looks good. We have a few leading indicators in our numbers, particularly commercial business and construction and demolition, and those look good for us right now.
Why has China decreased the amount it buys? Has it to do with tariff wars and other geopolitical factors?
I think that's really just coincidence that they're happening at the same time. China doesn't like the contamination that comes in the recycle stream, and I can't fault them for that. I mean, it comes from us. We're not sure what goes in the trash bin versus the recycle bin. So the material that we've been sending over there as an industry has been contaminated, and China would rather that it be cleaner.
That's fascinating. Now, we'll get to that in a moment because you have all sorts of innovations going on when it comes to trying to clean up trash.
Exactly.
So you're number 1, you're buying number 4, advanced disposal. That should close very, very soon. Tell us how it's going. Give us the update on that.
Right now, we're just going through a DOJ approval process. We've received a second request from them. And so the process is really tied up between attorneys and the DOJ. We think that will close sometime in the first quarter or maybe early second quarter of next year. But it's an excellent acquisition for us. They bring a big group of customers to us that we can then bring technology and focus on people.
And petro waste as well, which is building up in the Permian Basin.
That's
and that gives you a lot more business there. But back to advanced disposal, will buybacks be decreasing in coming quarters thanks to this acquisition? It's been $180 million, I guess, in the first and second quarters, but does that now go down?
And really that 180 was just to offset dilution from stock-based compensation programs. We will taper that off significantly. So last year we were close to $1 billion worth of buybacks. This year it's going to be basically that 180 to 200 million just to offset stock-based compensation. And then we'll restart buybacks sometime probably a year after the close of ADS.
On some of the more macro risks, you do have some exposure to commodity prices. What is your outlook there?
I wish I could be more optimistic about commodity prices. I don't. They're at 25-year lows, at least for what we sell out of the back of the plant, things like cardboards and mixed papers. And so what we're doing to try and offset that is building a brand new we call it the recycle plant of the future, which processes differently, uses less labor. It's really changing the business because I'm not sure I see commodity prices returning to their norms.
You have 21% more market share and 50% more revenue than your nearest competitor, but you're not stopping. You're continuing to spend on R&D, for example, on innovation. One of those efforts is a partnership with Starbucks. You're trying to figure out how to effectively recycle or use its cups, which have a special coating, of course.
Right.
Tell us about some other partnerships that might be in the works.
Well, so one that has to do with people, has to do with technology, is with Caterpillar. We're testing a remote operations of heavy equipment center in Denver, Colorado, one of our landfills. Caterpillar's done this on their mine sites in places like Australia and Chile, but they've never done it at a landfill. And so imagine a kind of a bank of TV screens and remotely operating a piece of heavy equipment as opposed to sitting on the site. And it changes the definition of the job. It's exciting for us.
And you've got plenty of other innovations which might give you a first mover advantage. Can you give us any insight into some of those?
I mentioned the recycle plant of the future, and I think that ultimately changes the recycling business. And at this point, we're the only ones really doing that. We're using robotics. It's somewhat of a plunger as opposed to a Terminator type robot, but it picks up material that you tell it to pick up, and it significantly changes the waste or the recycle stream. It makes it a much cleaner recycle stream, which is part of the problem with low prices today. The stream has just been too contaminated. You
have talked about other acquisitions. Obviously, these are major acquisitions you're involved in right now, but you're still looking for more tuck-in acquisitions. Can you give us any insight as to where you're looking?
We've historically looked for tuck-in acquisitions in kind of our core space. You mentioned petro waste. If you're going to be in the energy services space, you got to be in the Permian Basin. That's where the majority of the drilling in the U.S. is. So we'll continue to look in places like that. But most of the tuck-ins are core solid waste tuck-ins, and we'll look at those kind of on a geographic and a strategic basis.
The macro issues that are affecting businesses across the United States right now, how are they affecting your business in terms of hiring, in terms of industrial waste, in terms of visibility for the future?
I think you've hit on the biggest one that affects us. Industrial jobs are hard to find these days, and with unemployment being as low as it is, it means that we really have to focus on people. One of the things that I've talked about in terms of a cultural change at Waste Management is people first, and part of that is that I just truly have a sincere interest in folks working for WM, but part of it is self-serving from a company standpoint. If we don't put our people first, we're going to have a hard time attracting employees.
And briefly, Jim, you obviously speak with China a lot. You have some business with them, although it has decreased.
Yes.
Have you noticed a change in tone since the tariff wars and trade wars really took off?
You know, I guess it's not really a change in tone. It's just that they're interested in having a recycled commodity that is clean, and we have not, as a society, been producing a clean commodity stream. So I'm not sure it's a tone related to tariff discussions. It's just related to the material that they want and haven't been getting over the last few years.